This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, Karetane and Waikouaiti residents are being offered blood tests to check for lead poisoning. The gentle art and exact science of felting is on display in Dunedin with styles to suit everyone. And a true Southern man is New Zealand's latest top wood chopping champ after he cut down the competition at the National Champs. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Residents of Karetane and Waikouaiti are still reeling after finding out they may have been drinking lead-contaminated water for 6 months. Director General of Health Ashley Bloomfield says blood tests are to be offered to local residents.
Do not drink the water. That's the message to residents in the townships of Karetane and Waikouaiti, just north of Dunedin, due to concerns about toxic levels of lead in the water supply. New Zealand's Director General of Health, Ashley Bloomfield, says the 1,500 residents will be offered blood lead level testing as early as next week.
But I think the appropriate next step is to offer blood lead level testing to the residents there, both children and adults, to be able to provide them with reassurance about any lead exposure they may have had. That will give us a better idea.
Karetane School Board of Trustees member Jane Schofield says the residents are upset that elevated levels of lead were detected as far back as last August, but officials did not tell people to stop drinking the water until this week.
In general, the community is nervous, we're worried, and we're actually really all very shocked that the 8th of December was the first test that showed these levels in our water, and it is now 8 weeks later that we're finding out. So people are very, very worried. We're worried about our health.
Waikouaiti School Principal Mark Edwards says they're trying to inform the pupils without putting them off the idea of drinking water in the future.
We're coping really well. The kids have been given age-appropriate messages to get the message through to them that the water won't always be unsafe to drink. It's that balance between giving them strong signals now and not alerting them too much about the unhealthiness of water in general.
The council is trucking in water to the townships and also providing containers for its storage.
We've got 20-litre containers that have been delivered by the council full of water, and they're all carrying their own drink bottles that have been named, and that's how we're getting around that at this stage.
Medical experts say drinking the water for a couple of days would not have much effect on people, but longer-term lead accumulation can harm the nervous system. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Dunedin man will spend at least 3 years in prison for causing a crash which killed another man instantly. Luke Savigny pled guilty to manslaughter and was jailed for 5 years and 7 months in the Dunedin District Court yesterday. Christopher Blair died instantly when Savigny crashed a car at high speed near Oamaru, almost splitting the vehicle in two and throwing Blair 15 metres from the site. The court heard how he'd never held a driver's licence and used methamphetamine before the fatal crash. Blair's mother Vicky raised her dead son's favourite basketball jersey to her face and inhaled its scent as the sentence was read out. It seems there is no limit to what you can create using felt art pieces. Clothing and a 3D underwater scene are among the creations at Felt Friends exhibition, currently showing at the Dunedin Community Gallery.
Jill Shaw of Roxburgh is responsible for several of these creative artworks made from felt, currently on display at Dunedin's Community Gallery. Felting has been used for making garments for a long time, but Shaw uses felt to create everything from seascapes to hamburgers.
It was mentioned in the Bible, so it's actually a very old textile thing. But nowadays, of course, we have access to fabulous merino wool. We can colour it, we can add other textures to it, we can add other fibres to it.
This is the first time this keen group of felters, who are based in central Otago, are exhibiting at Dunedin's Community Gallery. Some of the items are for sale, but that's not the main objective for most of these artists.
Some of our felters do sell their garments and their but the majority in our club or our group are sort of retired, semi-retired people, and it's just an interest and a passion, and if you can sell something and make a few dollars, that's a good bonus.
The group is called the Southern Fun Felters, and they're always keen to share felting techniques with others.
Now we have about 27 members. We meet twice monthly in Cromwell, and people are welcome to come along. We'll teach them how to felt and teach them techniques and things like that.
The felting exhibition is set to run at the Dunedin Community Gallery until Sunday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The body of a pilot found whose aircraft went missing above central Otago yesterday has been recovered. A search and rescue operation was launched after an emergency beacon alert was set off about 5:30 p.m. last night. The man's body was retrieved about noon from the crash site on the Old Man Range near Alexandra. Low cloud had hampered earlier recovery efforts. The Cessna 172, with just the pilot on board, is believed to have been travelling between Bannockburn and Gore. The Civil Aviation Authority is investigating. An international wood chopping title was won by a Dunedin man at a competition held in Rotorua. The 24-year-old truck driver has been competing in the sport of wood chopping since he was 12.
Time is ready. Contestants ready. 1, 2, 3. And away they go. This is where the real...
Dunedin truck driver Bradley Paco has become a new world champion, winning the underhand title at this wood chopping event in Rotorua. Paco won 2 awards during the competition using axes, the same way New Zealand's early settlers used to do.
The underhand is when it replicates when the bushmen used to stand on the block to cut them up so they could tie them to the horses and pull them out the bush. The standing block is when we stand next to it and basically reenact as if we were falling a tree. So they all derive from what we used to do, the way the bush was basically cleared, hundreds of years ago, and it all of a sudden turned into a sort of a sporting event.
But at the moment it looks like it's Brad Paco first through the gate.
Paco, who's now 24, was first introduced to the sport of wood chopping when he was living as a 12-year-old boy in Karamea at the top of the South Island's west coast.
My late father got me into the sport. There was a Fields Day display down at the local rugby grounds, and he just asked me if I wanted to give it a go, and wasn't too interested in it. Never split a piece of wood in my life, and gave it a go, and the love of the sport grew from there, really.
He says the necessary saws and axes don't come cheap, but the atmosphere is worth it.
It's a really expensive sport. Axes cost you between $800 to $1,000. Crosscut saws $3,500 around about. But it's just, it's just a real great bunch of people. It's got a real sort of family aura about it, and the camaraderie between most of the axemen's really, really great.
The COVID-19 pandemic meant the event did not have the usual competitors from overseas, but the standard of competition was still high and included several members of the New Zealand wood chopping team. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, we have the latest edition of Global Insight with Professor Robert Patman, so see you after the break.
risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Welcome back. Concerns are being raised about a busy stretch of Dunedin Road where a woman was killed last year. Blackhead Road, and particularly the corner near Blackhead Quarries, is the subject of several complaints to the Dunedin City Council over safety concerns. In Dunedin last year, Brighton resident Claire Rutter died in a crash in that area. Quarry manager Gavin Hartley says quarry staff have complained to the council at least 4 times. He says the main issue is the slope of the road, which helps clear rainwater. A proposal to reduce the road speed limit from 80 km per hour to 60 km per hour is included in changes to the speed limits bylaw. The council says there have been 9 submissions on the issue, with 7 opposed, but it is still being considered. In today's Global Insight, Professor Robert Patman says it's possible that China played a role in this week's military coup in Myanmar. The University of Otago International Affairs specialist says while we don't know at this stage, he's wondering if the Myanmar military had sounded out China.
Dramatic events have unfolded in Myanmar this week, with the army staging a coup against the government of Aung San Suu Kyi on the very day that that government was to reconvene. New Zealand has a special interest in Myanmar because that country's second Vice President, Henry Van Theo, lived in Dunedin for a number of years with his wife and children. It appears that Van Theo has been detained along with other leaders, but sources in Myanmar have told me this week that his wife and children are safe. Welcome, Robert.
Morning, Bruce.
Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, only had 5 years of democracy before the army took control again. Why has the army felt emboldened to take control at this time?
It seems to be that the army are very concerned. It was a landslide victory that Miss Suu Kyi achieved. And she, of course, is a well-known international figure. But the nature of the victory suggests that the military, which have been, the power behind the throne, very much on the throne for much of Myanmar's history since 1962, they embarked upon this democratic transition. I think, from the military's point of view, they may calculate that Miss Suu Kyi's political victory is such that the military may feel that their influence may be diminished by the circumstances in which the National League of Democracy, the NLD, have won. So I think there's a concern there about being marginalised.
China actually stopped the UN condemning what's happened in Myanmar. Could China possibly have had some sort of background role in this coup?
It's very difficult to know, and we don't know at this stage. But I'm wondering if the Myanmar military had sounded out China. What we do know is that China has faced a number of difficult challenges in the last year or so. We've seen the democratic protests in Hong Kong, and we've seen Taiwan's continued successful democratic evolution, which of course has been very unsettling. And it just occurred to me that the thought of a continuing success of the democratic transition in Myanmar may actually be something of a challenge to China. So it'll be interesting to know whether the Chinese leadership prefer having the Myanmar military back in charge rather than someone who's just been elected by a landslide, such as Miss Suu Kyi, and presiding over what appears to be a resurging democracy. Because that has, given the geographical closeness of the countries, that has implications for China.
New Zealand also has quite an exchange program with students coming over here. We should continue those or discontinue those?
Well, I think it depends on the degree of the crackdown that follows. If it's a really, the other thing we haven't discussed, Bruce, is the reaction to many people in Myanmar to what's happened. If there are widespread protests and there's real crackdown, a repressive response to those protests, then I think we'd have to think hard about whether we can continue to go about business as normal. And this is what I meant by costs for the military regime. They have an interest in their citizens being educated and receiving the benefits of international exchanges. If their behaviour is such that we not only want to apply sanctions, but also we want to send a really clear message, then we may consider curtailing international exchanges.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Noho ora mai.
And you can watch the full interview with Professor Patman online at odt.co.nz. After the break on the South today, Dunedin dog owners are warned to keep their pets away from local Dunedin wildlife. And we take a look at tomorrow's weather, so catch this and more after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome to Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have no shortage of stock. Check these out. We've got the Dunedin print t-shirts. Check out our zillions of short sleeve shirts. These are crackers. They iron themselves in the wash. Iron cheater they're called. And there's some really cool polo shirts. Look at all the bright colours. And of course there's no shortage of shorts. This is always one of our brightest corners. Our long sleeve fashion shirts. Jeans, casual trousers, dress trousers, you name it, we have you covered.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So if you're shopping for your family or yourself, come and see Alex Campbell Menswear stores. We're full of stock.
Thanks for staying with us. There is concern a new sea lion pup could be harassed by dogs on a Dunedin beach, sparking a warning for dog owners to keep their pets away. This sea lion mother and pup have been bonding in the sand dunes off John Wilson Ocean Drive. The Department of Conservation is pleading for people to give them space.
Expect wildlife on the beach, keep your dog close and be ready to put it on lead at the first sign of any wildlife. The city bylaws have that dogs should be on lead within 20 metres of protected wildlife, so it's potential for a $300 fine if you fail on that measure. So yeah, just keep your dogs close and know where they are at all times.
Jim Fife says he initially thought it was Harua, a female sea lion who gave birth on the Chisholm Links Golf Club course in early January. But it was another sea lion and her month-old pup. Fife says the mother may leave the pup in the dunes on St Kilda Beach while she goes to find food, and Doc is concerned the pup could easily be found by roaming dogs. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Karatane and Waikouaiti residents are being offered blood tests to check for lead poisoning. The gentle art and exact science of felting is on display in Dunedin with styles to suit everyone. And a true southern man is New Zealand's latest top wood chopping champ after he cut down the competition at the national champs. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry. What have you got for us?
No, well, you actually stole my thunder a little bit there.
I love doing that.
Yes, yeah, thanks for that. Regarding the blood testing for residents out there, Waikouaiti and Karatane. However,
it's not a big thunder to steal, though. It's pretty serious.
It is, absolutely. So, yeah, so we'll have more on that story, of course, tomorrow. We also go out into the community and talk to people affected and their concerns. We also talked to a couple with a 1-week-old baby, and they're very concerned about their baby, and they were initiating blood tests even before this announcement came through. So there's concern out there, and a variety of things have been cancelled and changed. A fishing competition is off. So it is having an impact in the area. We talked to a specialist who says it's pretty uncommon for lead to be detected in water sources at any level, and he says it's very alarming, and the public need to know.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So on another note, and also a sad note, a Central Otago police officer has described the light aircraft crash near Alexandra this morning, or what was it? It was last evening, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And but they searched for him in the early hours of this morning. And the dead man's an Eastern Southland dairy farmer, and the police officer described the crash as unsurvivable. So, so pretty horrendous there. On a brighter note, Kim Dungy, our renovation reporter, talks to a couple who have done a modest renovation, but the change has been, according to them, life-changing. So Kim looks inside that recently renovated house, and
I'm intrigued to know what's going on.
All those renovation stories are great.
Yeah, they
I
are.
reckon.
Yeah.
Just finished watching The Block.
Oh, wonderful.
That's another story.
Lovely, and you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, a patient seagull on Dunedin's George Street at Northern End. Looking at the situation, an anticyclone will move past southern New Zealand tonight and tomorrow, bringing a period of fine weather to the region, becoming warmer tomorrow and over the weekend. Starting off at the northwest, sunshine with a bit of cloud for the area with 22 degrees in Greymouth and 19 in Westport. Over to the northeast, similar here as well, sunshine with a bit of cloud, and it's 22 degrees in Nelson and 21 in Blenheim. Moving down the east coast, partial cloud with 17 degrees in Kaikoura and 19 degrees and sunny in Ashburton, and it's 18 degrees in Christchurch with a bit of cloud expected. Moving to the southern towns, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can expect light northerlies and fine weather and a high of 22 degrees, while the Catlins can expect the same with 19 degrees. And in central Otago, it's light winds and fine conditions for everyone here, with 24 degrees in Wanaka, 23 in Queenstown. Alexandra has the high of the region of 25, and it's 20 degrees in Tiana. Moving to the northern towns, light to moderate easterlies along the coast with 19 degrees in Timaru and 18 in Oamaru. Inland, light winds and fine conditions, and it's a lovely day with 25 degrees for both Twizel and Amarama. And in Dunedin, some cloud tonight and a low of 5. It's mostly fine and sunny tomorrow with moderate cool northeasterlies developing, a high of 16 and a low of 9. Mostly sunny on Saturday with scattered cloud and fresh breezy northeasterlies, still looking at a high of 20 and a low of 11. And moving to Invercargill, fine and cold tonight with a low of 4. Mostly fine and sunny tomorrow with warmer temperatures and light northerlies, looking at a high of 20 and a low of 11. And it's fine with high cloud increasing and moderate northerly winds on Saturday with rather warm temperatures, a high of 24 and a low of 12. And that's all for our news for this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.